There will always be people who test your patience, who misunderstand you, who speak in ways that trigger pain within you. The world will not always meet your expectations, and others will not always act with kindness or understanding. Yet there is a way to live so deeply rooted in peace that no one's words or behavior can disturb your inner stillness. It begins with understanding, not resistance. When someone acts harshly toward you, pause before reacting. Do not let the surface of their behavior define what you see. Look deeper. Behind every unkind word lies suffering. Behind every sharp tone lies confusion or fear. When you learn to look through the surface and see the pain that causes another to act that way, compassion arises naturally. And where compassion grows, anger cannot survive. You begin to see that their behavior is not truly about you. It is about the storm within them. And when you see this clearly, you no longer take offense, you simply understand. Every moment that you feel bothered is an invitation to return to yourself, to return to the present moment. Anger lives in thoughts about the past or future, what someone did, what someone said, what might happen next. But here, in the simple breath you are taking now, there is no story, no wound, no blame. There is only awareness. When you stay close to your breath, you become free from the endless reactions of the mind. The moment you notice irritation arise, stop and breathe. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. In this small act, you reclaim your peace from the hands of others. Your breath is not just air, it is your anchor. It is the bridge between chaos and clarity. When someone's behavior begins to shake your calm, return to your breathing. Inhale deeply, feeling calm into your being. Exhale slowly, releasing the need to control or correct the situation. You will notice that your heart softens. The world has not changed, but your relationship to it has. You are no longer caught in a storm. You are watching it from the shore. True peace comes when you let go of the need to be right. Most anger arises from the desire to make others see as we do, to prove a point, to correct what feels wrong. But peace does not require agreement. You can allow others their thoughts and their truths without needing to defend yours. When you stop needing to win, you start to live in harmony. You realize that silence can sometimes be stronger than argument and understanding more powerful than correction. To never be angry or bothered by anyone does not mean you become indifferent or emotionless. It means you develop the strength to stay open, even when it would be easier to close. It means you choose peace over pride, understanding over reaction. You learn to see others as mirrors reflecting your own lessons. Each person who challenges you becomes a teacher showing where you still cling, where you still need to let go. The next time someone speaks in a way that hurts you, pause before answering. Take one conscious breath and ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? Most of the time, it is not teaching you about the other person, it is teaching you about yourself, about your expectations, your attachments, your inner peace. When you live in this way, no one can truly bother you because you no longer give them that power. You have returned your power to your awareness. You live as the calm observer, steady and clear. No matter what storms move around you, the world will still have noise, but within you there will be silence. And that silence will be your greatest strength. Peace is not something you chase or protect. It is something you embody. It is not built by controlling life or others, but by understanding them. The one who truly understands never needs to be angry, because understanding itself is freedom. When someone speaks to you harshly or does something that hurts you, your first impulse might be to defend yourself, to explain, or to fight back. This reaction feels natural because the mind wants to protect its image and its sense of being right. But true strength lies not in reacting, it lies in understanding. When you pause, even for a single breath, you create a space between what happens and how you respond. In that small, quiet space, wisdom can enter. Understanding begins when you realize that people's actions are rarely about you. Most of the time, they are acting from their own pain, fear, or confusion. The anger in someone's voice may come from years of feeling unseen. The criticism they throw at you may be a reflection of how harshly they speak to themselves. When you can see that their behavior is a mirror of their suffering, not an attack on your worth, your heart begins to soften. You no longer take it personally because you see beyond the surface. When you are mindful, you begin to notice that every reaction you have is also a teacher. When anger rises within you, it is not just about what the other person said. It is showing you where you are still holding wounds of your own. Every irritation points to a place within you that still seeks healing. So instead of reacting outwardly, turn inward. Ask yourself, why did this bother me? And what in me is asking to be understood? This quiet self-inquiry transforms conflict into awareness. The moment you choose understanding over reaction, you take back your power. You are no longer a puppet moved by other people's moods or words. You become grounded, centered, unshakable. When you speak, it comes from calm rather than chaos. Your words begin to carry clarity instead of fire. Others may still be lost in their storms, but your calm becomes a mirror of what peace looks like. And sometimes your silence and patience can teach them more than any argument ever could. To understand before reacting is to live with wisdom. It is the art of seeing beyond appearances, of remembering that every human being carries both light and pain. When you see through that lens, you stop judging and start understanding. You stop attacking and start healing. And in that gentle shift, anger loses its grip, leaving behind a heart that cannot be shaken by anyone's actions or words. Anger cannot survive in the present moment because the present moment is always calm, always clear, always new. When we feel upset or bothered by someone, our mind is no longer here. It is replaying what happened a few minutes ago or imagining what might come next. We become trapped in stories. They shouldn't have said that. Why did they treat me that way? Or what if this happens again? These thoughts feed the fire of anger. But when you return to the now, to the simple awareness of your breath, the sound around you, the feeling of being alive, all those stories dissolve. The present moment has no enemies. To live in the present is to step out of the cycle of reaction. You stop chasing what could have been and stop resisting what already is. In the present, you see things as they truly are, not as your emotions interpret them. Someone's harsh words become only sound. Your body's tension becomes something you can breathe through. Your feelings become waves that rise and fall without pulling you under. When you are fully present, you can witness anger without becoming anger itself. The breath is your doorway back to this peace. Every time irritation arises, return to your breathing. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Notice that in this moment you are safe. No one's words can harm you unless you carry them in your mind. No past memory or imagined future can disturb you when you are anchored in the now. With each inhale, you collect yourself. With each exhale, you release the need to control what others do or say. Slowly, the tension melts and clarity replaces confusion. Being present does not mean ignoring reality. It means meeting it with awareness rather than judgment. You begin to notice the small miracles around you, the light on the wall, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the softness of your own breath. These simple things remind you that life continues to unfold beautifully, even when people misunderstand or disappoint you. When you live this way, no one can pull you into their chaos. You can listen without absorbing, care without clinging, and act without anger. The present moment becomes your shelter, your quiet refuge. Each time you return to it, you strengthen the peace within you. And when peace lives in you, no one outside of you can disturb it. When emotions rise and tension fills the air, your breath is your greatest ally. It is the bridge between your heart and your mind, between reaction and understanding. In moments of conflict, the body tightens, the heartbeat quickens, and the mind begins to build stories of blame. But the breath remains, always calm, always waiting to bring you back to yourself. If you can remember to breathe, even in the heat of disagreement, you can transform anger into. Each inhale is an invitation to receive calm. Each exhale is a chance to release the pain you are holding. When you breathe with awareness, you remind yourself that you do not need to meet harshness with harshness or pain with pain. You can respond differently. Your breath cools the fire before it spreads. Instead of reacting with sharp words or defensive silence, you begin to see the other person through softer eyes. You begin to sense that their anger is also a cry for understanding. Breathing compassion does not mean you approve of someone's behavior. It means you choose not to add more suffering to an already painful situation. It is the quiet strength of choosing love over reaction, calm over control. As you breathe, imagine sending peace first to yourself, letting it settle in your body, relaxing your shoulders, slowing your heart. Then imagine sending that same peace toward the person in front of you. You do not have to say anything. Your stillness becomes a message that says, I will not feed this conflict with more anger. When you breathe compassion, something begins to shift. The energy between you and the other person softens. Even if they remain upset, your presence no longer fuels their fire. You become a mirror of peace, and that peace begins to change the atmosphere. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in conflict is not to speak louder, but to breathe deeper. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You will find that you can face difficult people and situations without losing your balance. You will notice that your breath protects you. It keeps your heart open and your mind clear. Compassion is not weakness. It is the courage to stay kind when anger seems easier. And when you learn to breathe compassion into conflict, you no longer fight to win. You simply choose to heal. The desire to be right is one of the deepest roots of anger. It comes from the mind's need to defend its image, to protect its version of truth, to control how others see the world. But the more we cling to being right, the more we suffer. Every disagreement becomes a battle, every misunderstanding a threat. Peace slips away not because others are unkind, but because we cannot let go of our own certainty. When you release the need to be right, you create space for peace to enter. Letting go does not mean giving up your truth. It means realizing that your truth does not have to cancel out someone else's. Two people can look at the same situation and see it differently. Not because one is wrong, but because each sees through their own experiences, fears, and beliefs. When you accept this, you no longer need to force understanding, you simply allow it to unfold. The world no longer feels like a competition of opinions, but a classroom of perspectives. When you insist on being right, your heart closes. You listen only to reply, not to understand. But when you let go, listening becomes an act of love. You begin to hear the pain behind another person's words, the need behind their anger. No longer see an opponent to defeat, but a human being to understand. And in that moment, something softens inside you. The conflict may still exist, but the hostility begins to fade. Ego will often whisper that letting go makes you weak, that you are surrendering your power. But real strength is the ability to stay calm when your pride wants to fight. It is the courage to say, I don't need to win this argument to have peace. The truth does not need defense. It shines on its own, quietly and consistently. When you trust this, you stop trying to convince others and start living from a deeper place of freedom. In relationships, in work, in daily life, peace comes not from being right, but from being kind. Each time you choose understanding over victory, you grow lighter. You realize that peace is not found in proving a point, but in preserving your inner calm. The need to be right keeps you chained to conflict, but letting go of it sets you free. And in that freedom, you find something far greater than being right. You find the quiet joy of being at peace. To live without anger or disturbance is not to avoid life. It is to meet life with open eyes and a calm heart. There will always be people who misunderstand you, moments that test you and words that sting. But each of these moments is an invitation to return to yourself. When you understand before reacting, you choose wisdom over impulse. When you return to the present moment, you step out of the storm of thought and back into peace. When you breathe compassion into conflict, You transform pain into connection. And when you let go of the need to be right, you free yourself from the endless struggle to control others. True freedom is not found in changing people or fixing the world. It is found in mastering your own inner state. You become unshakable, not because life becomes easier, but because your heart becomes deeper. In that depth, anger dissolves and peace becomes your natural state. So the next time someone tries to disturb your calm, smile inwardly, take a slow breath, and remember, no one has the power to take your peace unless you hand it to them. The one who lives with understanding, presence, compassion, and humility walks through the world untouchable, calm like still water, free like the open sky,